a step to legitimize Afghan government by these countries. Actually, based on 20 years propaganda, there was some problems regarding Taliban. But now this type of invitation and communication will help European community, US, or many other countries to erase the wrong picture of the Afghan government.
For more on this, I'm now joined by Obaidullah Baheer. He's a lecturer of transitional justice over at the American University of Afghanistan. Obaidullah, good to have you on the show. In the first soundbite that we played, we heard a senior Taliban official there talking about his this meeting being sort of a step towards recognition. I mean, is that even a realistic expectation given the fact that the group, the Taliban, has already visited countries like Qatar, Russia, and China, and they haven't taken the step?
Recognition and legitimacy are two very different concepts. I mean, here the recognition formal process isn't initiated. That includes establishing embassies, that includes recognizing the government in charge. This is more of a legitimizing action by the West. But this isn't new. This has been happening since the peace deal was signed between the Taliban and the United States. The question is whether the Taliban can actually gain legitimacy from within Afghanistan, from Afghans, and live up to whatever promises they make the international community.
All right, let me ask you about that. How difficult is that task to actually get recognition or legitimacy from within the 34 million people back home?
I think one of the problems right now is because the Taliban spent so many years fighting, they have spent a lot of energy othering the larger population of Afghanistan, the population that they are now responsible for governing. So they have to really take steps in order to find a middle ground and not enforce their own vision of the world on the Afghans and actually have dialogue with them. I mean, it's interesting that they're sitting in Oslo talking to Afghans, but they're not talking to Afghans within the country. So there have to be tangible steps, and the international community needs to set expectations. There have to be measurable, tangible outcomes that are expected from the Taliban based on specific timeframes, not what was done in the US peace deal, in which they said you have to de-escalate violence, which is very vague, which is very immeasurable. So you have to have a monitoring body and place expectations and expect them to meet them.
We knew coming into this, we heard from one of the Norwegian officials saying that, coming into this, we know what our expectations are. All right, top of the agenda of this meetings in Oslo is going to be the rights of women and children. Today is the International Day of Education. Do you think that the Taliban is willing to sort of scale back on some of the restrictions it put in place when they came to power in August?
I mean, the Taliban have shown a tendency of wanting better relations with the international community, and just being in Norway is one reflection of it. They were in Iran earlier, meeting their political opponents. That itself was another reflection of their willingness to sit down. So let's hope that tangible outcomes can be achieved and set criteria can be laid out with time frames. If they are going to open up high schools for girls, they need to exactly say when that is going to happen. And then there has to be some sort of repercussion if they don't meet those timelines.
All right. Obaidullah Baheer, thank you very much for joining us here on the NewsHour.